Season 2, episode 10. Welcome
to
the Energy and Heart podcast.
hosted by
Jiggy
and Steph.
Yay! With Kev Lou in the studio in the back. Oh my god. 10 episodes with us.
Thank you, Kev.
Wow. I think this is an unavoidable thing to acknowledge right now, and it's heavy in our hearts and in our minds. How do I even say this?
Let me figure out how to say it. So I think we're still processing. I feel like we have to do a content warning or something. But processing the shootings in Monterey Park and Half Moon Bay. And so, yeah, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge the victims and their families, and also just let you all know that, like, I think everyone's, like, going through their own process of, like, grieving and moving through this. I think it affects everyone differently. I think for me personally, because the shooting was and happened near my hometown, I think it hit especially hard. Like, we've had a lot of tragedies happen, like a lot of them happened in the last couple of years, but this one especially was very difficult. Just hearing like families, like grandmas, grandpas that like walk by the studio, like hearing about like my friends saying like their families considered going to that like Lunar New Year celebration, but like didn't. I've also heard from friends that like their families were there just that day, like earlier that day, you know, and like realizing like, wow, like anything can happen at any time. And so I think just like being with that reality has been very difficult. I don't think I have much to say about that other than like I hope that everyone's taking care of themselves. I hope that everyone's allowing for what needs to come up. And just like respecting like your own process and believing that like what you're experiencing in each moment is like okay as it is, and there's no one right way of moving through something really tragic. Yeah. Do you want to add anything to that?
As I think the one thing I want to acknowledge is like it happened on Lunar New Year. Like people woke up to the news. I was actually up when it popped up on my Citizen app, and I was like, "What?" But holidays alone is already a tough time for many people, and for those, you know, for a lot of us, especially New Year, it's like it's not just any New Year. It's like our New Year.
It's like the biggest day of the year.
You know, there's a lot of intention. There's a lot of
celebration,
family gathering, friend gathering, community celebration, wishing each other fortune and wealth and health and all of these things. And it's just like, how do you wish each other that when something like this happens? And it turned what is supposed to be a celebratory day into something that's so tragic now moving forward. And hopefully as everyone grieves and moves forward, like Lunar New Year can still be celebrated with joy, but even saying that is really hard. I just have majority of my friends, my Asian friends here in Cali are either from the 6 to 6 or the OC. And I just couldn't believe the day that how we spent Lunar New Year is waking up and checking up on each other and each other's families. Like every single conversation was like, it was I don't think I even wished you guys happy new year.
I don't know how to say it without like,
The first thing
yeah,
we put on the group chat is everyone okay,
yeah,
and how's everybody's families doing.
yeah.
um I'm just kind of showing up to support the community and friends. I'm not familiar with the area, and that's my truth. And I think also when it comes to grieving, every single grieving is different. It just looks differently for everybody. So I'm never going to say that I know exactly how you feel, because even though I'm grieving my own losses, it's not going to be exactly the same as anybody else's. So, however your healing process looks like, whatever your mourning and your grieving looks like, please do what you're needing and what that looks like for you. Um, I think actually one of the things that's a challenge right now is for those who don't feel protected or seen in their workplaces, um, maybe because they might be the only Asian employee at their workplace, so they're not feeling really supported. They feel alone in taking the day off or the week off for a mental health day or whatever. But if that's what you're needing, please do that. Like, I think self care oftentimes is unfortunately self advocacy. And even if you might not feel supported by your workplace, if you feel the need to take whatever day you need to, please do that. And also during these times, let's please make sure we're at least eating a meal and drinking our water, because our entire community is like grieving this, and it's really easy to forget to do the simple things like drinking water.
Hmm. I think the last thing I was thinking about was how it was tradition in my family actually for Lunar New Year. Like, I was always told as a kid, you whatever happens in that first day of the year,
Mm.
yeah, sets a precedent for what happens the
Yeah.
rest of the year. And so I think you mentioning that it was like on Lunar New Year is like really significant, because it's like, yeah, does this mean that my whole year is fucked because like this happened on the first day, you know? But I think something that I was reading by Amanda Nguyen was like how, this is a reminder that when moments like this happen, our community will never leave each other
Mm-hmm.
in the process. And I think that that is really significant because, yeah, I was getting lost in a lot of it. And then once I saw that, I was like, you know what, that's so true. And so I think thinking about just holding both, like holding a lot of the grief and the sadness and the everything across the board, and at the same time holding the fact that like, wow, like I've never seen so many people come together so quickly to like bring together all the resources, like support the funds for like the families, like all of that, like and all of that is also part of this I think entire process of like healing together as a community. And I think that is also important and significant also to acknowledge too.
Mm.
I feel complete.
Okay. Well, today is our last episode of the season. Um, Maybe we can just kind of talk about how this season has impacted us or how much
Yeah.
we've enjoyed it. Um, just kind of reflect back.
Yeah.
For me, I'm just really happy and proud that we are in a studio,
Yes.
just like a bitch said things would be.
Thank you, Kev.
And man, I don't know if I ever told a story of how this happened, but basically, Kev and I
Oh yeah, you gotta
were
tell the people.
like,
Yes.
we both volunteer for Seniors Fight Back. And after one of the events, we all just went to get lunch, and we were sitting across from each other. And I'm just like listening to this guy talk about like what he does for a living. And Steph and I were like desperately looking for studios at the time. We were looking at like so many different places. We had like a whole
It was the list.
Slack
Yeah.
thing list full of
Yeah.
whatever. And I'm listening to him talk, and I was like, wait, you have a studio? Oh, you edit podcasts? And I was like, putting the two and together, I was like, how do you feel about hosting a podcast in your studio? Like, you have the equipment technically. So just one thing led to another, and I was listening to Kev talk about so passionately about certain society concerning topics, and I was like, wow, this guy's really passionate about these things, and I was like, I think he would really enjoy listening to me and Steph talk. So I was like, Kev, what about what if we did this? Like, what does that look like? And he shows me like a video of his studio, and I was like, you know what, fuck it, like it looks like a music studio, fine, whatever, we just do a podcast in there. And I remember leaving the restaurant, and I'm texting Steph, and I was like, Steph, I think we got it. Like, I think this is perfect. I think it's going to happen. And it's happened, and it's worked so perfectly. I think I really enjoyed being here. Love Kev. He's the sweetest, easiest guy to work with. He's so considerate. He's such a team player. Like, yeah, after the first recording the first episode, he already had ideas for us. He was like, yeah, guys, so I think that if I add this, like, it'll be enhance the experience. And we're like, oh my God, like this timer. When we showed up to the second time we recorded and he came up with a timer, I was like, he's so cute. Like, I don't think this could have gone any other like better way.
Yeah.
In terms of the podcast itself, I really appreciate the growth of the quality of the content, the growth in our audience, the growth in our relationship.
Oh.
Man, I love these podcasts. Like ever since you said it this way, like it's almost like a vlog.
Yeah.
We don't just like shoot the shit and talk. We actually update you guys on our lives, and I mean, you're literally watching us grow into whoever we're becoming. Shut up. Reference to the last episode.
I was waiting for this. I was like the B word.
But becoming, but I think every season shows a certain level of growth, a certain level of like getting to a new place for us, a certain level of maturity. I don't know what the fuck season 3 is gonna be like, but season 2 was really enjoyable. Season 1 was a whole shit ton of crying.
Yeah,
Season 2 was
a little crying.
Little crying, a lot of laughing, but also a lot of like, really being certain in our message.
Yeah.
By season 3, I think we'll be famous. I think we can do it. I think we'll make it.
Whatever we say on the podcast comes true. So
we're looking for 2 sponsors. we're looking for 2 or more sponsors. Thank you.
Email us at. Okay, I guess we'll put it in the description.
info@jiggyyoon.com.
Yeah, I do want to say my piece about Kev. Like, I think one of the hardest thing I think about getting projects up and going, you have to understand, is like the people you work with. Like, it's always going to be about the people you work with. And so when Jiggy texted me and was like, yeah, I found the right person, I was a little skeptical because it almost felt too perfect. But whatever,
say it with me, y'all. I'm not always right.
But she's never wrong. God damn it. But yeah, like, I think, I just remember coming into the studio the first day, meeting Kev for the first time. For context, I've never met Kev before. This is my first time, like, literally because I'm working on the podcast with Jiggy. I just remember leaving, just being so stoked, like, not just about the podcast, but just about the fact that, like, we're able to collaborate with somebody who's so generous, who's so caring, who, like, so kind and so loving, and just, like, so passionate about, like, what we're doing too. And I think that does play a part in us feeling excited,
yes,
like, to come do this podcast. Like, G and I used to go freaking upstairs into into my living room and be like, let's just get it done, yo. Like, that was the energy. But just like this time, we drove out. We drove out almost like 45 minutes to an hour in traffic sometimes, like, just to make it to the studio. But like, working with Kev is like absolutely worth it. And so Yeah, just a lot of shout outs to Kev because I think he played a significant role in just how much joy we have in here. Like this is not, we're not just recording. Like we come in, we catch up a little bit, we record, and then after we're just like chatting. And I think just having his presence there was like significant in this whole like process. I think he's seen us grow in um a different way too, instead of not just like the content of the podcast, but just like all the in between. So yes, thank you, Kev. But I think regarding this last season though, I'm on the same page with you. I feel like there's so much growth like this season, but like I think I also feel like this season, I think ending on a, you know, generally more hopeful like note, but I think that there was a lot I think that happened because we did this what, end of October, November, like it was around the holiday season. And this is something that I always think about is like when shit's really hard, when you're going through it, like that's all you can think about. But when you're like excited and hopeful, like that's all you're thinking about. And so I'm just like, man, like we're ending on this like more hopeful note, but like there were some pretty tough times, I think, like throughout this experience too. Like, you know, you had just turned 30 when we started. And we were just going through this like Thanksgiving season, Christmas season for the first time, and actually like sharing about that like in this form for the first time. And I felt like that was really significant for, I think, for me as a friend to like witness, like not just like oh in our friendship and stuff, but just like seeing what you had to share during those periods, seeing like what you share during the podcast feels same but different when we're talking like by ourselves. And it's because when you're talking in the podcast, you're speaking to like our audience, and I see you pick and choose certain things to share, and I'm just like, oh wow, like I'm seeing what's really important in your messaging. I see what's like what you value and like how you want people to feel seen and heard like through what you share. And I think that has been significant for me, I think, to witness, to see like, oh, like this is what's important during this like season for you. And I think I'm just learning a lot through this sort of platform, just listening to, yeah, just listening to what you have to share. So I think that was like really significant for like friendship, but also like working together, just understanding you better as a whole, I think. Yeah, that was my like little take there.
That's so funny that you took it this direction because I don't think we're gonna have time to talk about what I pitched before we started
Oh
recording, which is
man,
fine
maybe that'll be the
because
first
this
one.
is actually what I wanted to talk about,
Oh,
but
okay,
I
yeah,
didn't know how
that's
to like
perfect.
segue into
Yeah.
this without just blurring it out.
Steph with the
Um,
segue.
um, as we wrap up this, that's so funny that you did this.
Yeah.
As we wrap up this season, I wanted to just like directly thank you.
Oh.
Um, like
What
I
do you
don't really
mean?
know how else to explain this. Like I don't get her gifts. Like I don't get like I get her random gifts. Like if I think of something, one time I got her canvas, like a custom made canvas. Like
Oh yeah,
if I
yeah,
think of something, I gift it.
yeah.
But if it's like Christmas or even birthday,
Oh, I
like
see
I
where you're
don't
going.
do gifts, but I'm kind of like what is a meaningful gift for the bitch? Like I don't want to just like throw shit at her. I always want my gifts to be meaningful. And I just like didn't know how to wrap this in a bow. Like, do I write her a whole freaking letter? Do I make her a photo album of all the things we've done together and scrapbook it? Like, which I can do. Um, but I also wanted her to get like the public recognition, which like it's not that she's asking for it, but I don't want to just like thank you as you know as we go through the suck together in business and you believe in me and all the regular shit that we always thank you for, but I want to thank you as a friend. Like
We said no crying this time. We said last time was a lot of
Like,
crying.
you look at our podcast, and especially season 1, like, I cried almost every single freaking episode, and like, I've been just grieving this entire time. And since, but can you believe that it's almost been a year since my dad died? Like, what the fuck?
No, I know.
Next month,
Yeah.
tomorrow's his birthday, and then next month is his 1 year anniversary. And like, it is not easy to be in your position. And I know that it's so many of my friends like have showed up for me. And I love all of my friends so much. And Steph especially has shown up for me for like not just our businesses, but also as a friend, also as a neighbor who lives right upstairs. Like, yeah, it's really, we love living in the same building together. We did it for a reason. It's fun to run into each other, but at the same time, guys, we actually like show up to each other's apartments crying. Like, there are like after therapy sessions, I might go show up to her apartment to debrief. Or like, she might have a really hard day, in the middle of the day she comes over and I have a couch now, and she just comes and takes a nap.
Yeah.
Or one time I went upstairs and she was just like, before we leave, like, can you just give me a hug? And she just started
Yeah.
crying.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't just friendship and this isn't just business partnership. It's both. And it's like so unique. And I don't know how many people out there in the world can speak on this, but we hold each other accountable for our businesses, but we also show up for each other as friends. And it's a very unique friendship for me because we're able to just go through the suck together in business as well as life, as well as relationships, as anything, like anything and everything. And you have held space for me like through and through. You have showed up for me every single time. Um, you even went to Vegas to see Kaylani with me, and you know how important that was for me. Like, even though the day that my dad died, even though you were tired, you still showed up to go bowling.
Yeah.
Don't ask me why I wanted to go bowling when I found out my dad died.
I was
But it was like
confused.
it's like a weird coping mechanism I have. But like, you just show up for me again and again, and I think this was the biggest year for our friendship yet. Like 2022, I think was the biggest year for our friendship yet. And I think 2023, we're just like starting off even stronger. And this is like our championship year. This is like our Jordan year.
Close up right here.
But even through the podcast, like, everybody can see that Jiggy's crying again, or like Jiggy's going off about something again. But I don't know how else to say this. Like, you're just not just my rock, dude. I don't know what the fuck else to say. Like,
An A+ rock, a rock plus.
a boulder.
I've learned that I'm kind of funny.
You're alright. You have your moments, but yeah, I know you show up for a lot of people constantly, but like,
Yeah.
I think this is a rather unique friendship for the both of us,
Yes.
and I really truly want to thank you.
Thank you. That means a lot. Yeah, I really appreciate it. It was like the thing I didn't know I needed to hear today. Yeah, I totally forgot that, like, so much life has happened, in between then. Yeah, I mean, I think with, gosh, I'm so
Bitch.
glad.
There's a knock at the door. Let that sink in. I think you need some time to process.
Season 1. Only the OGs
Oh my
will
God.
know. Only the OGs will know.
Oh my god. Last week, after we finished recording, we went to, this is actually like my old neighborhood. So we went to get boba at this place we used to get boba when she used to come visit me, because we used to have to do that. And we were
God.
getting boba, and I was like, "Oh my god, bitch! Like the last time we were here was when we took the boba and back to my place, and we were just like outside sitting on the porch talking about starting a podcast, and it was like such a full circle moment."
Yeah.
She also cried in the car on the way home, listening to music.
Yeah. I did, because
Man, last week was a trip.
this whole week was a trip.
We do a lot of life together.
Yeah. Thank you. Um, I think I was actually just telling somebody this, because somebody actually reached out to me and said, like, you two look like you have a lot of fun together. And I was like, that's the best compliment that I could ever receive on this project. Like, I've had people reach out. I mean, I had people asking me, like, are you trying to monetize your podcast? Like, like the business stuff. Like, oh, you're trying to monetize your podcast? Are you trying to make money? Like, is this your, like, other stream of income? Just like, God, like, I don't really, like, that's not what this is about,
It's
like,
not
what,
why we
yeah,
started.
like, it's not why we started. Like, we literally just started because we figured, like, somebody out there probably will benefit from us, just like our conversations that we're just having on a regular basis. And so, like, when that person said that, I was just like, you know what, like, that's right. Like, we do have a lot of fun. And like, I think that's the best part about this project. Like, I think it was one of, like, the best decisions I ever, like, made. And I just constantly feel really glad when you, like, I go back to that time period where I was just like, I don't know if we should do this or not. Like, I don't know. And I'm just like, I'm so glad and thankful that you, like, said, like, yeah, we just gotta do it. Like, I said in season 1, like, Jiggy always had belief in the two of us from the very beginning. Like, I think at times where I didn't believe, like, in myself, and I feel like in this process, like, this project, and like there's so much of this that, like, you guys don't see, but like um Jake has played such a significant role in, like, just making this, like, happen, even at times when, like, I was nervous about how much bandwidth I would have, or like was like just having a really hard time getting out of bed too. And so, yeah, I'm just, like, really thankful for you for, like, just, like, moving this project through, dude. Like, I think this project actually really helped us deepen our relationship in a very different way than I had originally anticipated. It hits different when you have a commitment that you're supposed to go to every single week. Like, I'm sorry, but when you have a commitment every single week and you're committed to the person, you're committed to the project, you cannot not hit bumps in the road. And I think that's part of the essence of this, is like, when we're doing it, we just trust that, like, we'll be able to be there for each other. And this type of thing is hard to come by. It's hard to find, like, somebody that you can just feel so aligned values wise, like aligned on the project, like everything under the sun. It's not just chemistry on like camera. It's like we just have a friendship like that, like, exists. We're just showing one piece of that, and I think that's, like, really special for people to experience. But I think especially this season, like, I feel like I'm seeing parts of myself because of what you reflect to me, right? In this podcast, like, there are pieces of myself I don't see that I need support from other people to see. Like, I think as human beings, we talk a lot about self development, personal development, but I think truly the best way that you can see yourself is when your friends hold up a mirror for you. And I feel like you've been significant in seeing things, in, like, recognizing things. When you get excited, I'm just like, oh, that's something that I should think about, And so I'm just, like, taking all these cues, and I'm just like, oh wow, like, I'm starting to see how you see me, right? And I actually brought this up with my coach. Like, I was just like, yeah, like, something about this podcast, like, I think, like, I'm confused. I remember telling my so I work with a coach that, like, absolutely love. We'll talk about her season 3. But, like, I was telling her one time about this project because she asked me about my week, and I was like, yeah, I'm just, like, so excited to go on. I realized, like, I'm just, like, more comfortable talking now than before. And, like, when I started this project, I didn't understand because in my head I was like, I see how brilliant you are, right? And I'm just like, why is she working with me? Like that's literally the thought that goes in my head. I'm just like, why is there something cool about me that like makes it worth doing this project together? But you see where my headspace is at is like I don't see myself, right? But like obviously if somebody wants to work with you, you have to trust that. And so like I remember telling my coach, like, I really just want to see what Jay is seeing. And I think specifically throughout this season, like I have finally like reached a point where I was like, oh, I'm starting to see the way the brilliance that you see in me. And like that I cannot tell you like I can't tell you how meaningful that is for me personally, like as a whole like being. I'm just like, oh shit, like I can finally stop seeing myself as this like weird black silhouette of a person, which is how I've always seen myself. Like I didn't know my values. I didn't know, like I kind of had a feeling, but through the podcast, through verbalizing, through speaking, through being in conversation with you, that is how I've been able to like put the pieces together to like actually understand myself. So yeah, that's what like this season was for me.
I've done my job as your friend.
Sorry, that's a whole monologue.
No, that's honestly so dope, and I'm glad I'm able to be a source of mirror for you. I think I want to end with like celebrations and hopes and wishes.
Not you bringing in this.
Really quick. I mean, season 2, there was a lot of growth in a different way, and I think like just like the episode where we talked about, was there fur on my shoe this entire time, and you guys didn't tell me? Don't zoom in on that.
Should close up on that.
I think we talked about it in one of the episodes where we were like, how we are honestly like disappointed in the business of how things went in 2022, but at the same time we were able to grow in a different way that we didn't even expect to. And so my celebration for you is that I just want to celebrate a bitch does yoga now, has an outlet, and this is the most at ease I have ease and grounded I've ever like seen you and experienced you. And throughout time I see you more and more putting your foot down, and I love that. You're just standing in your own values and your own worth and your own belief in things. Your voice is louder, you know you're you're standing taller, your chest is up, like you're really putting your foot down. And if this is how you're feeling now, then I can't wait to see you about to see a brand new bitch season 3. I still think about the canvas that I made for you, and I've always wondered, like, I wonder when she's going to like step into owning that, and I see you doing it in a very graceful way. And also want to celebrate you taking care of your health.
Thank you.
And my hopes and wishes for you. Also want to celebrate you and Kato's like ever blooming relationship. Season 1 we were just talking about like you guys starting in relationship with and then tonight there's gonna be another one. They're back. The bitches are back.
Jesus.
But yeah, just want to celebrate all of those things and how you were able to just kind of explore balancing like having a business and also a partner, because that was like real hard for you in the beginning. But yeah, can't escape this Libra love, y'all. Just gotta work with it. And then my hopes and wishes for you is that you just continue to grow into your most authentic self. I hate that. It's been so overused. Just want to help people grow into their most authentic self. Just be your authentic self. Like, y'all ruined it for me. Y'all like holistic influencers like ruined it for me. But that's what I mean. Yeah.
Thank you. Man, in terms of celebrations for you, I think what first comes to mind is just like I really want to recognize how much more self-compassionate you are now. I think it's very subtle. Like it's the type of thing you won't notice because she speaks about self-compassion, okay? She speaks to the things that she needs the most, you know? And like I think I've seen you go from like, gosh, like I wish my business was here or here or here, to actually like really taking your rest more seriously, actually giving yourself permission to do these things without like that guilt. Like this is the most time I've ever seen you like take off ever, right? And this is also like, I mean, it might have been seeing Kaylani twice that like made this, but like you feel lighter, I think, than you've ever felt before. And I know you're still grieving, but I want you to know that you are also like your energy is like something happened in the I don't know what, I don't know how to explain the essence of this, but like something happened in the last couple of months where like you are much lighter. I think you let things go like faster. You know, we've talked a lot about like relationship stuff even throughout this like season too, and I just see you like creating a new normal for yourself and like knowing that you deserve peace, like truly deserve peace, and not just saying like, oh, I deserve peace, not just saying it, but actually like, I'm going to set the boundaries for that. I'm going to uphold what I need to for that, and like I'm going to let go of what needs to be let go of in order to create this for myself. So I really see this like, I'm actually going to put myself first, like, and actually let that like happen. Just like I feel like, and just like you, it's like, if this is the beginning of that, like I don't know what y'all got Jiggy when she was going through like a lot of you know? So I'm just thinking like, what is Jiggy when she's peaceful, you know? And like what's actually gonna unfold like in season 3, like, you know, when you're not holding like the weight of the world like on your shoulders, like what's that gonna look like? And so my like hopes and dreams and what I hope for you is to like continue to do that, you know, like continue to cultivate that peace, continue to stand your ground, continue to believe it when your feelings come up, and when like something doesn't feel right, to like trust that that is like true. And honestly, like trust in God. Like that's like I think that's gonna be really fun to just see how like this change in your relationship also with like your religion, spirituality, like whatever you want to like call it. I'm excited to see like how that will also unfold too.
Mm.
That's gonna be a big one.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And with that concludes season 2. We fucking did it. Season 3 will be back March-ish. We're taking a
March,
month
yeah.
off. And you know what the fuck happens when we rest. You know what the fuck happens. Listen. Next season moving forward will be 8 episodes per season.
Yes.
But
Because
yeah,
more rest.
more rest.
We know that does wonders.
More rest, more
We
brilliance.
practice what we preach.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we're doing it.
Okay.
See you next time.
That. Yeah. We did.
Boba?
Oh yeah, I'm so hungry though.